2024 has already been a year full of surprises. With games like Stellar Blade, Animal Well, The First Descendants, and many more on the way, this year's lineup has no shortage of variety. But if there's one major game company that continues to help push variety, it's famed developer Capcom. Even with Capcom's recent success in the Street Fighter and Resident Evil series, the developer and publisher are still pushing the envelope and developing new IPs, like Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess. Highly experimental, visually striking, and a little under the radar, Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess is a beautifully crafted, loving, and passionate work of art that more people need to play. Hi, my name is Jay, and welcome to Good Games Dude. For those of you who don't know, Capcom is one of my favorite game developers in the industry today. Part of the reason why is that it's a developer that likes to mix things up a bit and try new ideas, even if those projects don't always pan out. And that's where games like Kunitsu-Gami come in. Even though it's a game that's not going to sell millions of copies, it certainly deserves to do so. You'd be forgiven if you've never heard of Kunitsu-Gami. It's a game that has only been shown off at Xbox showcase events, and very briefly during Capcom's own live streams. And the game was released much earlier than expected, as it just came out last week, during the much slower summer months of gaming. The premise and gameplay design is very simple. There isn't too much going on under the hood, as the game is also relatively short, and doesn't throw too many curveballs at the player. In many ways, Kunitsu-Gami feels like an indie or AA game. But just like an indie game, the love and attention to detail can be felt all throughout. From its gorgeous art design, to its meticulously handcrafted models, otherworldly music, and its perfect blend of tower defense and hack-and-slash gameplay, Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess is a game that prioritizes quality over quantity. The biggest selling point of Kunitsu-Gami is its visuals. The game kicks off with a breathtaking cinematic that introduces the characters of Yoshido and her guardian protector, Sol. The two of them embark on an endeavor to cleanse a mountain of its evil spirits and free the villagers who have been taken captive by the demonic forces known as the Seethe. And as the two continue their mission, they'll also enlist the help of the villagers. The common folk can be turned into warriors and fighters in battle, but it's the main protector of Sol who carves a path for Yoshido and serves as the game's stunning and jaw-dropping warrior. By day, the player must gather resources, construct barriers and defenses, and train new soldiers to fight against the Seethe. And by night, the Seethe comes out and targets Yoshido before she can cleanse the area. It's up to you, the player controlling Sol, and the rest of the villagers to stop them from reaching her. While this might sound like a traditional tower defense style game, some interesting caveats help to make it unique. For one, Yoshido is constantly on the move. Even though Yoshido is the enemy's main target, she's also the only one who can purge the area and has to move forward to do so. As you guide Yoshido closer to the Seethe and their spawn area, the battle arena gets smaller and smaller as Yoshido gets closer to the danger. There's also a huge variety of units that players can deploy. Villagers can be assigned as healers, ranged gunmen, medium-range axemen, and even sumo wrestlers who can become tanks, absorbing heavy amounts of damage. But Sol can also get in the fray. In most tower defense games, once the action gets going, there isn't much the player can do besides hang back and wait for their forces to do their job. But that isn't the case here, as the player can also attack enemies with the many skills at Soul's disposal. Players can string together combos, range attacks, and a number of super moves to defend Yoshido. It's similar to controlling a character like Dante from Devil May Cry. But unlike Capcom's other big action series, Soul's combos are a little easier to execute. The game still keeps itself accessible for those more focused on tower defense. And once the battle is over, the player's work is not done. Soul and Yoshido can help to repair the villages, helping to beautify the area, unlocking more skill points and abilities in the process. This also serves as a beautiful moment of respite, as the player can reconfigure their abilities, but also take in the game's world, examine the game's models, interact with the local animals, and listen to the game's beautiful music. It's a rare moment where gameplay helps to reinforce the game's theme of taking care of the world and enjoying the natural beauty that can be found all around us. Even though Kunitsu-Gami is a gorgeous game, it's also very brief. The game can be finished within 10 to 15 hours. This might not be a problem for some, but for others like me, I wish that there were more brand new concepts and ideas thrown into the game that could help to make the game a little longer. As it is now, the game's mechanics and progression are a bit sparse, with it taking a long time to unlock new combos and weapons. And once the player gets an idea of how the game's day and night cycle works, and how the game is overall designed, the player can get into a bit of a monotonous rhythm, repeating the same plans or movements. Had there been more combos and abilities, and new mechanics packed into the shorter game, I think it would have felt more punchy and made the game more challenging. The game does feature a handful of bosses that do help to spice things up somewhat, but again, I wish there were more of these, as this is where the game teaches and tests the players on their comprehension of the game's mechanics. Kunitsu-Gami is in a lot of ways like Japanese sushi. It's very simplistic, there aren't many ingredients in it, and it's very easy to mess it up. And that's the beauty of it, where every single detail, no matter how small, is meticulously handcrafted to be a certain way and to convey a certain feeling. But not everyone likes eating raw fish. It's a corny comparison and a little cheap, I know. But I hope it conveys to you all how Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess isn't aiming to be overly large or complex, but to show the beauty in simplicity. At the moment, Kunitsu-Gami is available on Game Pass, and has a sizable demo on all platforms. It's also slightly cheaper than most premium games, coming in at $50. Again, this game won't be for everyone, and some might even question whether the game is even worth that price. But I think that games like this deserve more attention, and can have a lasting impact on those willing to give it an opportunity. Much like the classic indie game, Journey, Kunitsu-Gami is a game players can get lost in for a few hours, have time to reflect, but also engage in breathtaking moments of action and adventure that will stick with players for a long time. That's why I'm giving Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess my rating of 4 out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because even more videos will be coming out in the next few weeks. If you played Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, as I'll be happy to check that out. Stay tuned for even more on the best that video games have to offer.